y'all. Welcome back if you are a part of the Draper Bunch Adventure family already. If you are new here, we are so happy to have you. We hope that you will subscribe to our channel. And if you are coming back, thank you for coming back again. We're so glad that you're here. Give us a big thumbs up to let us know that you are here today. We appreciate all of your support and encouragement. And certainly if you have questions or comments, we welcome them. Please leave them below, or you can send us an email. Our email is in the description below. So today is a little bit of an impromptu video. It's not one that I had on my list of kind of content that I was going to cover, but it was asked on another one of our vlogs, and it's come up to me several times. So I thought I would just try to briefly address it today. And the question is, why homeschool? Why do you homeschool your kids versus having them in a traditional school setting? So I'm going to try to answer that the best that I can today. There is a lot I could say about it, but I just want to try to give you a brief idea of why we chose to homeschool. I'm not going to talk about why we didn't choose, why we didn't choose to send our kids to school. I don't have negative things to say about the schools themselves or the teachers. I've said this in a previous video. I was a teacher for a long time. Teachers, I admire you. I hold you in the highest of esteems. I know that teachers have kids' best interests at heart, and so it has absolutely nothing to do with that. The second thing I will say is it has absolutely nothing to do with our religious beliefs. We are Christians, we are kind of old-fashioned parents, but it really doesn't, that's not really why we decided to homeschool our kids. It definitely contributes now as we have come along in this journey. It allows us to be able to use that in our schooling, but it wasn't our primary reason for homeschooling. So let's get started. Let me tell you why. Max, our oldest, was in 4th grade when we decided to start homeschooling him. There were a lot of things kind of going on at the time in school for him that were upsetting to him, causing him to lose sleep. He was having hours and hours worth of homework and things like that. And so really what initially started the homeschooling was the fact that we felt like Max was not able to be the best that he could be where he was. We felt like he was not able to live up to his full potential academically. We felt like that the setting that he was in was not allowing him the growth, and it was not causing him to become a lifelong learner. So we wanted to give homeschooling a try with the idea that we would reserve the right to change our minds. And that's really kind of what started it, was we just felt like he really wasn't thriving in the traditional school setting, and so we wanted to try something different for him. At that time, he didn't ever want to pick up a book. He hated to read. He just had not picked up a joy for learning that we really wanted him to have throughout his life. As we all know, learning is a lifelong process. We're constantly learning new things. We don't have to be in school to be doing that, obviously. So we wanted to just give him a joy of learning for the rest of his life, and not just have him do it as a chore, so to speak. So just a combination of things going on at that time caused us to pull him out and start homeschooling him. And so I would say the first one is that we wanted our kids to become lifelong learners. We wanted them to have and develop a joy for learning. And there's a lot of pressure for testing and things like that in schools, and so we didn't want our kids to fall in that pressure and feel like that learning was a burden and a chore. We wanted them to see the joy and the fun in it. The second thing I will say is it gives us an opportunity to create truly individualized learning experiences for our kids. So I look at each child individually. I look at where they are. I look at their strengths and weaknesses. I look at their learning styles, and I determine which curriculums to use and what activities we're going to do. Sometimes what particular subjects we're going to cover in science. For example, if they're interested in animals, it allows us the opportunity to pursue their interest and for them to dig deeper into learning something. It also allows us to move at their pace as well. So that is very helpful too. So it gives us an opportunity to just individualize their learning and allow them to not feel that pressure of meeting certain standards, I guess, at a certain time. So I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. Maybe I'll just make it my next point since I'm already there. So the other thing is that one of the things that goes along with that individualized learning is it gives us the opportunity to allow them to do things when it's developmentally appropriate. So reading is a great example of that. You'll hear me talk about that a lot, but that's because that was one of my focuses when I was a teacher, and also when I did my master's degree, it was a focus for my thesis. So one of the things that school systems do, because they have to, is they create a set of standards that's expected at a certain age and a certain grade level for children. And the problem with that is that it's not really an accurate way that's developmentally appropriate for kids, because not all kids are ready to do the same things or learn the same things at the same time. If you think about it this way, we have 3 children. None of the 3 children started walking at the same time. None of them got their teeth at the same time. None of them started talking at the same time. They all did that they met those milestones at different times of their life when they were developmentally ready to do so. And the same thing holds true for learning skills. Sometimes some kids learn them faster than others. Sometimes some kids need a little bit more time for certain things. So it's nice to be able to homeschool because they have the opportunity to get there when they get there. They have the opportunity to accelerate if they are ready to accelerate. They have the opportunity to slow down and go back and continue to work on something until they've truly mastered it and learned it, so that there's no falling through the cracks. There's no, you didn't learn how to add last year in 1st grade and now you're in 2nd grade and you don't know how to add. There's none of that, because we can do away with the grade level stigma, so to speak. We kind of stick to a grade level because it's easier when looking at curriculums and things like that to sort of kind of shell things out, but it allows us the opportunity to be able to individualize it and say, wait, we've worked on this skill, but we don't have it yet. We're not ready to move on to what's next. Or to say, oh, you've already got this in one day, we can just move on to the next thing. So allowing for that individualized learning and that ability to throw away grade level stigma and throw away the stigma of you should all be reading by the time you're 6 years old. Well, that's just not developmentally appropriate. Some kids don't learn to read till they're 7 or 8, and that is okay. Because once a child becomes a proficient reader, they're a reader and they can read, and there's nowhere else to go other than exposure to genre and learning comprehension and literary styles. So it allows us the opportunity to let them slow down and really internalize their learning. The next thing is that it gives us the ability to provide them with life experiences through more travel and exposure to more cultures. And I would say that that bleeds into the next reason, which is it gives our kids a better sense of socialization, communication. It gives them, I think, the ability to not be influenced as much by peers, and in the school setting, it allows them to understand that all people are different and that we should love all people no matter what their differences are. It doesn't matter if they're not like us. It doesn't matter if they practice a different type of religion, if they're a different ethnicity, if they speak a different language, if they have a disability, if they have an exceptionality. None of those things matter, and our kids don't see those things as much because they're not exposed to a bias about them, and it allows them the opportunity to learn to socialize with people outside of their age group. They know how to socialize well with adults, they know how to socialize well with children that are younger than they are, and they know how to socialize well with their peers because they're getting opportunities throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout travel, throughout experiences, to be around all different types of people, all different age groups, all different religions, all different cultures. So it just really gives them that broad spectrum, and communication is so important, and it allows them the opportunity to do that in a lot of different modalities. So it's definitely an added bonus of homeschooling. It also gives us a very strong family bond. We spend a lot of time together. And sometimes that's a little hard for the siblings, but it does give us a strong sense of family. It allows us to learn and grow together. It allows me as their mother and Eric as their father to really know our kids. One of the things that I enjoy about our homeschooling experience is that our teenager doesn't mind talking to us about anything. You know, he shares everything with us, and so it just really is helpful for keeping those communication lines open between parent and child, and then just building a really strong family bond. I want to say that one of the things that we discovered after about a year and a half after we started homeschooling Max, because the other two were too young to be in school yet at that time, what we realized, even though we reserved the right to change our mind about homeschooling, was we realized how much he was thriving. And we realized that when the pressure was off and he wasn't constantly under pressure to read a certain book or things like that, what we noticed was when we allowed him the freedom just to choose, then every time we looked at him, he had a book in his hand and he was reading. And this was a child that I couldn't get to pick up a book. And we understood at that point that one of the things that had been missed was that he loved to read nonfiction. And they were constantly encouraging him to read fiction. And so once that door was open for him and he was given the ability to choose, he discovered how much fun reading could be for him and how he could read about World War II or how to build an airplane, or, you know, all these types of things that he was interested in, survival in the woods, you know. So it just really opened a door, and it opened his mind to learning, and it gave him the freedom to do it in a way that was comfortable for him. And we've seen a tremendous amount of growth from a child who didn't want or enjoyed to do anything academic to now in 9th grade this past Christmas asking for a set of encyclopedias for Christmas. So it really has allowed our kids the ability to open up and be who they are and have their learning individualized and be able to grow and learn together and be able to just learn for intrinsic reasons. Learn not because somebody's telling you you have to, not because it's what's on the list that you have to learn by the end of this grade level, but because they enjoy learning the next thing. They look forward to whatever is coming next. So I hope that I feel like maybe I didn't do as good of a job explaining today as I wanted to do, but I hope it gives you a better sense of why we homeschool. We really did it because we felt like the first child wasn't thriving in that setting. It was very constrictive in a way, and so we really just wanted to give him the opportunity to learn in a different way, and it went really well, obviously. And as the girls got older, we decided that we were going to just keep all of them at home so that we could individualize their learning and have a strong family bond and give them a lot of broad experiences to build their background. And it just has worked really well for our family. We really enjoy it most days. We really enjoy it, and it, you know, it just really has made a difference in our kids. So if you know our children and you've been around them, then you can definitely see the part about the socializing that I was talking about earlier. So there are a lot of resources out to help homeschoolers. There are a lot of activities. There's this huge myth that homeschoolers don't know how to socialize. That is so untrue from every angle I can possibly tell you. There's just so many opportunities out there and activities and groups and things for kids to socialize, and they socialize even when we go to the grocery store. So we just wanted to give our kids the best experience we could give them to reach their fullest potential, and we feel like that homeschool is doing that for our children. If you have any other questions, I'm happy to answer them. Please leave them in the comments below. Shoot me an email. I'm always happy to talk about homeschooling. Sometimes I can go on and on and on about it. Our next few videos, the embarkation day video about Disney cruising is coming up soon, and I'm also going to do separate videos for each of the children to talk about what curriculum we're using. I don't use the same curriculum for every subject, so I'm going to do a video to talk about that a little bit. And then here's something that I need from you. What I need from you is, my plan in the next few videos is to actually introduce you to my children and interview them and ask them some questions about homeschooling. So tell me in the comments below, what questions do you have for my children about their homeschooling experience? They're happy to answer your questions. What I'll do is compile a list of questions and have them answer them in a vlog for you so that you can see the answers. So if you have a question you want to ask the kids about homeschooling, please leave that in the comments below, or email it to me. Either way is fine. Thanks so much for joining us today. I hope that this made sense, and I hope that it answered questions about why we homeschool. See y'all real soon. Bye.